Hey everybody. This morning when I started the day off, I uploaded my video and I had 198 subscribers, so I was pretty pumped. And then I checked like 5 minutes after I uploaded my video and I was up to 199, and then I checked right before I uploaded and it is 200. So that's cool. I actually completely forgot about doing my AM videos and starting work. I started work at 7 a.m., finished at 3 instead of 9 to 5 like I was intended to do. I just literally completely forgot about that. Anyways, yeah, so we have 200 subscribers. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's pretty awesome. I made this animation in honor of that. Yeah, so when I left off yesterday, I said today I was gonna sort of just try to go over all the code changes to see if everything, just sort of give it a once over, make sure everything kind of makes sense. I know that there are some issues. Um, so I guess the first and most obvious place would be to look in the validation interface and see that yeah, I think that makes sense. Validation types. We have, I don't know, invalid positive float. Is that a validation type or is positive float? I think um, maybe it should be validation error types. Yeah, that. I don't see, everything's weird. I think I'm just going to call it validation. Maybe we'll circle back around at the end of this video and go back to validation types. So now this validation dictionary, and really it's a validation token dictionary, not a validation dictionary, because all I do is return tokens. So I'm going to change this one to token. And maybe it makes sense then to change the interface to validation token types. So let's see what breaks. Now we lose the animation. I wasn't too thrilled with that animation anyways. Probably should have had some fog in there since that's what I'm working on. Yeah, that actually would have been pretty cool to have like a fog that um, works in there. Let's see. And that's that. Okay, so I think validation token type, validation token types makes sense. I think that makes total sense. Okay, so these are the token types. We have invalided, post, and none. All right, so now we got stuff broken all over the place. And I know that this does seem like a real pain in the butt, but it never ever gets easier, and actually it's a bit cathartic going in and making these changes. So it doesn't seem like it would be. This kind of seems like it would just be absolutely miserable, but and it's actually pretty simple to do. Um, used to be this would be the kind of change that would, well, I mean, there was no interfaces and stuff, but making sort of name changes used to be a real pain, and now it's a lot easier. Like this would probably, some kind of name change like this in the past, I probably would have done a commit before I did it, because just the chances of something missing something are so high when you're just doing like a big control, like a global search for something. Um, there's just a lot of different ways that you can mess that up. Either you could change something that you didn't intend, that was similarly named and you actually did not intend to change it, or you could um, miss changing something, especially if it was like the kind of like a dynamic thing that was being passed in. All right, so I'm good. I like. Oh my gosh, I mis freaking spelled interface. Let's do this. I think this will. Oh, look, I'm gonna have to do that over here. I believe rename. I believe the IDE will fix this interface. I think it'll like do like a. Well, maybe not. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. There we go. And I guess it changed them to me for me too. All right. So back to here. So now we have more changes. Okay, that's just the rename. So validation token types I think makes sense. Validation token dictionary makes sense. And then ensure validation type. I guess that needs to be token type. Let's go ahead and max this out. Can token type. All right. Get token for path. I think that makes. Do I need to add? I don't think I don't know. Should I rename this validation? Get validation token for path. Yeah. Yeah, that shouldn't be broken in too many places. Get validation text for token. I think I think it'd be a bit redundant to have validation in there twice. I guess it might make more sense to say get text for validation token, but I don't know. I think this is fine. Get validation function for token. I think that makes sense. Is one deep. I think makes sense. Get floating point validator makes sense. Now, I think I do want to, and maybe I'll save this for tomorrow's video. I think I want to change these into token dictionaries. So basically, instead of having this message in here, it would be in a dictionary, a messages dictionary, and then this function would be in a functions dictionary, token functions dictionary, token messages dictionary. I guess since I named this validation text, I should name this text. I shouldn't change. I shouldn't like change concepts. I mean, a text and a message are two slightly different things. So anytime you can add a bit of clarity to your language, you really should. Especially at this phase, and especially where it's so limited. So, like, you don't have to think in your brain, oh, I'm getting a validation text. Oh, here's the message. Like, it's like, oh, here's the text that we're getting. Okay, so let's see. Error message, get UI validation service, get validation text for token. I think that makes sense. Error message. I used to have this one architect when I was working at this one place that every single time you would, no matter how you named anything, he would come in and he would just be like, oh, I would rather this be token text validation token. Like, he would always want to change the orders, and there was no rhyme or reason to it, because no matter what you wrote, he would do this. And this was before it was so easy to, like, there wasn't a transpiler, so he would have you change up all the names of everything, and then like basically be shocked why like every PR he was ever involved with got broken. And he would just, and then I remember a statistic came out where it was just like every PR that every other architect did was like, would have like, um, like 5% bug rate. And then every one of his, like literally 90% of the PRs that he was the approver on had bugs in, make it to production, and he could just never understand why. He was absolutely convinced that all the developers were just aligned trying to sabotage him. Um, he would just kind of sit and pout in the corner, but it was because he was always having us make these bizarre text changes to move things around. It'd be like get uh, text for a validation token. He would be like, "Can you change that?" And then you would, do a control find and try to find everything. Um, so I don't know. He was an interesting guy, and it was sort of his area of the code. So the fact that it was like the buggiest section of the entire application, I guess he paid the ultimate price for that. But anyways, what a thing for me to get what a subject for me to get on my happy 200th subscriber video. So UI validation service inject, I like that. UI, and then the token is input required validation token. Oh, of validation token types. I think token, maybe might be better to name this validation token, but we're in a validation um, error message. So I guess that is like super redundant. So there's no reason, I don't think. Um, an app validation error message. Um, yeah, see, even here, like you're in the error message. I mean, what kind of token would you be getting? Um, so I think that makes sense. Um, it'd be kind of nice if these two were bound somehow. I don't know. I'll think about that. Um, validation error component. I think all that reads right. Const validation token type from UI validation get token for path. I think that makes sense. Validation error function from UI validation get validator. Validator function. Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna be like, should this be validator? But I don't think that would make sense. Might even make sense just to call it a validator, but it does help to say that it's a function. So I think that's worth it. And then if it's not null, then the fog density validators push. I think all that reads just beautifully. And then validation service, get token for path. Should I be get validation token for path? I think, yeah, that should be get validation token for path. And that's just because like there are very likely to be, now that I'm kind of gone in this token sort of mindset, there's a very, 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 very good chance that I'll have other kinds of tokens. And this could get very confusing very, very quickly if I don't nip that in the bud right now. Get token for path. So we have yet another validation in this sentence. I mean, if you can read this sentence, I don't even know. I don't think we need that comment anymore. I mean, it's pretty obvious we're getting a validation token. And then, yeah, I don't think that comment is helpful either at this point. Anytime you can remove a comment, you should. If it reads, okay, there's some people that believe all code should be self commenting. I don't think that that's feasible, but if it is self-commenting, and I do think most code can be self-commenting. If it is self-commenting, having comments is um, very, very can be real damaging, can be very destructive because if you change the code, it's very easy to forget to update the comments when you change the code. And if you have comments that are actually wrong, that can really throw someone off. So I would definitely strongly suggest that. So get validation token for path, and then I mean it is in the UI validation service, but and then keeping these consistent, I think, is of value. Get validator function and all that. All right, so I feel pretty good about that. We are at 15 minutes, so this is a good time to stop. I do want to circle back around, and let me look at this in this view. I do want to circle back around and convert these from sort of like move this stuff into like a text dictionary and a validation function dictionary. So instead of being in like if this, it'll be more like if it exists in the dictionary, then assign it whatever you get. Otherwise, it's null, or otherwise don't do anything with it because it's already set to null. And that's only because I think it'll be a little easier for me in the future to look at like this validation token dictionary and say, oh, okay, that's with that. Oh man. Okay, so I probably should have path in here so that we know. It should probably be token validation tokens for path dictionary. It's just so tomorrow when we look at it, we get to sort of think through this. Because I don't know, that does feel goofy, but on a fresh brain tomorrow, I could probably do something with. Maybe I could think of something better tomorrow. Get its validation token for path dictionary. And I don't even know if dictionary is the right word for it because a dictionary like only has one definition. It's not like a dictionary has like like you look up a word. Well, I guess that's not true because you do look up a word, but then it'll be like, oh, is it a noun? Is it a verb? And blah, 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 blah. And then it has multiple things. So it's like, well, for scene and for fog density. Within scene for fog density. I don't know, maybe structure or something's a better word for that. Maps. Do maps ever have like 2 layers? I guess they do. Atlases definitely have 2 layers. But maps often have 2 layers. It'd be like, I want to see, Chesapeake Canyon, and there may be one in Montana and one in North Dakota or something. So I guess map is probably better than dictionary. So I'm going to change that to map and see what breaks. So it'll be the same places. And I mean, I know it seems like a ridiculous waste of time. But the thing is like this, if this does, like, let's say there's a 1 in 10 chance that this ends up being a problem, like this naming, then the old names, that maybe now that I've developed it out, I can do a little bit better job of understanding and be a little bit more precise with the naming. If those old names end up being a problem, it is going to be way more than 10 times harder to fix down the road. Right now, it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, it's downright pleasant updating these names. But like it'd be absolute misery down the road if I need to do it. So it's like your choices. Do you want to do a couple of little pleasant things and then avoid, like let's say 10 times you do like 10 pleasant things and you get to avoid one absolutely miserable thing? Or would you rather do the one miserable thing and avoid 10 pleasant things? It really is that simple. And it is a great way to like sort of go over your code right before you put it in for a PR, a pull request, so that you can catch any silly mistakes or any naming and all that. So I don't know. Happy coding. Bye.